Have you ever stopped to think that the world might have almost ended, and you never even knew about it? Today, I want to tell you a true curiosity, one that sounds like fiction, but actually happened. And if a single person had made a different decision, you might not be here right now, listening to this. Most of us believe that big events change the world. Wars, presidents, explosions, moments that make headlines and fill history books. But sometimes, the fate of humanity depends on something much smaller. A button that was not pressed, a call that was never made, or a tired man sitting alone in front of a screen, choosing to trust his own instinct instead of a machine. During the Cold War, the world lived under constant tension. The United States and the Soviet Union did not fight each other directly, but they were always standing with their fingers dangerously close to nuclear buttons. It was a silent war, a war of fear, paranoia, and mistrust. Both sides believed that if the other attacked first, there would be no second chance. The strategy was called mutually assured destruction. If one side launched nuclear missiles, the other would immediately respond. The result would not be victory. It would be annihilation, entire cities erased, millions dead in minutes, and a planet left permanently scarred. Because of this fear, both nations built complex systems designed to detect an attack as fast as possible. Satellites, radars, computers, machines that were supposed to react faster than humans ever could. But machines do not understand context. They do not feel doubt. They do not question fear. And that is where the danger begins. One ordinary night inside a Soviet military monitoring center, warning alarms suddenly began to sound. Screens lit up with terrifying information. Red indicators flashed. Sirens echoed through the room. According to the system, nuclear missiles had been launched from the United States toward the Soviet Union. Not a drill, not a simulation, a real alert. According to protocol, this meant only one thing: a confirmed attack, and the response had to be immediate. There was no time for debate. No time for long investigation, no time to call politicians or negotiate. The doctrine was simple and terrifying. If they attack, we attack back. Within minutes, hundreds of nuclear missiles could be launched, missiles powerful enough to destroy entire cities, to kill millions of people who were sleeping, working, living their ordinary lives, to change life on Earth forever. The man responsible for analyzing that information was not a famous politician. He was not a powerful general. He had no control over nations. He was simply an officer on duty, a man doing his job. On what should have been just another night, he looked at the screen. The system said, confirmed, attack. Everything looked real. Everything looked final. But something felt wrong. The system showed only a few missiles. Not dozens, not hundreds, just a small number. And in his mind, a question appeared, a dangerous question. If this were a real attack, why would someone launch only a few missiles? A real nuclear strike, he thought, would be overwhelming. Fast, massive, unstoppable. Launching just a handful made no strategic sense. That doubt was enough to change history. The decision he made at that moment was not written in manuals. It was not taught in training. It was not approved by any superior. It came from his own conscience. He decided not to report the attack as real. He decided to wait. Minutes passed. Minutes that felt like hours. Every second was a gamble with the future of humanity. If he was wrong, his country would be destroyed. If he was right, the world would keep turning as if nothing had happened. People outside were still sleeping. Cities were still lit. Children would wake up the next morning expecting breakfast, school, normal life. All of it rested on one silent decision. And then, the truth appeared. The missiles never came. No explosions. No impact. It was a system error. A rare reflection of sunlight on clouds had fooled the satellites. The machines had mistaken light for death. There was no attack. If that man had followed protocol, the world would have entered a full-scale nuclear war because of a reflection of light. Millions would have died within hours. Entire countries would have disappeared. the environment would have been permanently damaged. Human history would have split into a before and an after that night, and almost nobody knows his name. What makes this story even more unsettling is that it was not an isolated case. Throughout modern history, the world has come dangerously close to collapse many times. Not because of evil plans, but because of mistakes. There have been cases where airplanes carrying nuclear bombs crashed due to mechanical failures. In some incidents, bombs were lost and never recovered. In others, safety systems failed by pure luck. There have been moments when computer bugs triggered false alarms, convincing military staff that an attack was underway. In some situations, military exercises were mistaken for real invasions, and each time, the world stood on the edge. In many of these moments, the only thing standing between humanity and disaster was not technology, not protocols, not weapons. It was a human being who hesitated, someone who decided to think independently, someone who questioned what the system told them, someone who said, even for a moment, "This doesn't feel right." So the next time you think your choices do not matter, remember this. Sometimes, the entire world depends on someone who chooses not to press a button. And that is a real curiosity that almost no one ever tells you. If you want to hear more stories like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who enjoys deep curiosities. Because some stories are not just meant to entertain. They exist to remind us how close we have already been to the end.